Our assistant manager locked the front doors 20 minutes before closing, turned around and asked which one of us had called her husband. Nobody said anything because none of us had his number and most of us had never met the man. Somebody told him where I was. She pulled a chain and a padlock off the hook in aisle 6, the kind people buy for gate latches, and ran it through the push bars on both front doors. Then she hit the breaker panel behind the register and killed every light in the building except the coolers. There were 6 of us in that store. Me and Dylan, both 17, working the Friday close. Ms. Prine, an old man named Mr. Ellery who came in every week for chicken scratch, and a woman with a little boy who couldn't have been more than 3, standing in the pet aisle with a bag of dog food she never got to buy. Ms. Prine had been strange all week. She was normally the easiest boss in that building, but she'd started standing at the window watching the lot, and she'd been wearing a hooded sweatshirt to work in the middle of August. Dylan tried to get his phone out of his apron, and she caught it instantly. Phones in the bucket. Now. She held out a 5-gallon bucket and walked it down the line. When the woman with a toddler was slow about it, digging one-handed with a kid on her hip, Ms. Prine took the purse out of her hand and dumped it on the floor. Keys, receipts, all of it across the concrete. Nobody moved. The little boy started crying, and Ms. Prine's head snapped around. Keep him quiet. Sound carries out here. I remember thinking, out where? We were on a state highway with a gas station across the road. Mr. Ellery said, real slow, that whatever was going on, these kids didn't have anything to do with it, and could she let the young mother and the boy go out to their car? They watched the cars, she said. That was when I saw her arm. She reached up to pull the security shutter over the front glass, and the sleeve slid back, and there were 4 bruises in a row above her wrist, spaced exactly the way fingers are spaced. There was a mark under her jaw she'd tried to cover, and one side of her lip wasn't the same shape as the other. We stood in the dark for probably 15 minutes. She kept looking through the gap in the shutter at every set of headlights that came down the highway. Then we heard sirens, more than one, and getting closer. Her whole body changed. Which one of you did that? Which one? The mother said she hadn't touched her phone, and she was crying by then, and the little boy was crying, and Ms. Prine told all of us to get behind the counter and get down. We did. All 6 of us, on the rubber mats behind the register, with the flashers coming through the front glass in red and blue across the ceiling. Then a voice on a loudspeaker, and it wasn't a shouting voice. It was almost gentle. Renee, this is Deputy Vance. Nobody out here is upset with you. We'd just like to talk. She pressed herself flat against the end cap and said they didn't know what he told them. Then another voice came over the speaker. Young, a girl's voice, shaking so hard she could barely get it out. Mama, it's me. Please open the door. Please. Her daughter, 15, maybe 16. And everything I'd been watching for 40 minutes rearranged itself right there on the floor of that store. The deputy came back on and said her daughter had called them that morning, after what happened at the house Wednesday night. He said nobody thought she'd done anything wrong, that they'd been looking for her since 2 in the afternoon, and they'd like to get her and her daughter somewhere safe tonight. Ms. Prine sat down on a stack of feed bags and made a sound I have never heard an adult make before or since. Then she got up, unlocked the chain, and walked out with her hands open at her sides. They didn't cuff her. That's the part I always tell people when I tell this story. A deputy sat down on the curb next to her and talked to her quietly for a long time, and her daughter got there first and held onto her like the parking lot was tilting. An ambulance came and took her, but nobody made her ride in the back of a car. Her husband was picked up that same night, and I heard the charges stuck. Somebody said she moved up near her sister after that. In October, the store got a letter. Our manager read part of it out loud to the Friday crew. She asked us to tell the 2 boys who worked the clothes that she was sorry and that she had never in her life meant to frighten anybody. Dylan still says she scared him worse than anything that's ever happened to him. I think about her arm. I was terrified of the wrong person for 40 minutes, and so was everybody else in her life for a lot longer than that.